If you're watching this video right now, all things considered, I'd say you're fairly lucky. You have access to a phone or computer, which means you likely have a roof over your head, clean water to drink, and easy access to basic food and electricity. But for millions of people worldwide, they can only dream of even having a few of those things that people like you and me don't even think twice about. And in La Guajira, one of the poorest villages in Colombia, let alone the entirety of South America, children were malnourished, starving, and homeless on the streets. And one of those kids was Luis Diaz. And for a kid growing up in one of the poorest areas on earth, being lucky didn't mean having a good life. Being lucky meant that you survived. So today, we're gonna look at the incredible life journey of Luis Diaz and how he overcame near impossible life odds to slowly becoming one of the best young footballers in the world today. La Guajira is notoriously one of Colombia's most underdeveloped regions, and while the area was relatively not as dangerous or as active of a narcos hotspot back in the late 80s and 90s, the struggle in the area was the extreme poverty. This is where the Wayuu, an indigenous population of Colombia, has called home for many, many centuries. Luis Diaz was born as a member of the Wayuu community that, not so long ago, had an abundance of natural resources like coal, gas, and salt, making them one of the most resource-rich areas in all of Colombia. However, like most indigenous populations remaining in the world today, they had everything stolen from them and were taken advantage of by their local government, which then neglected the area and its peoples for decades. And thus, what used to be a thriving region became poor, desolate, and polluted. And so, Luis Diaz grew up with incredible odds stacked against him from the very beginning. His family were dirt poor, living in extreme poverty. Like many of the Wayuu people in the region, being poor meant that they couldn't get healthy or proper food. But it goes beyond that. Most of the time, they couldn't even afford food. Naturally, this caused many kids in the area, including Diaz, to be incredibly skinny and malnourished. They had to eat cheap starches, had no access to good vegetables, or even any decent source of protein or meats. And the worst thing was that the region also lacked access to clean water. So when there wasn't enough food, the kids starved. And when they did get food, it was far from nutritious or quality. So they were very malnourished and lacked essential vitamins and minerals. And when you can't get them clean water, they get sick and don't have immune systems developed enough to help them get better. Many of them didn't make it. It's so bad that based on a Human Rights Watch study, within less than a decade, nearly 5,000 Wayuu children died of malnutrition and starvation alone. That doesn't count any of the numbers of children dying of disease or lack of health care. Unclean water in the region was causing thousands more to suffer from diarrhea alone, at a rate disproportionately higher than anywhere else in the country. A result of drinking unclean water, and if continued, can even be fatal and cause death from dehydration. But what choice do these kids have, really? Even if the food or water made you sick, you had to do what you had to do in order to survive. So next time you throw away or waste some completely good food, I hope at least you'll think twice about just how lucky you are. That's the reality that Luis Diaz grew up in. He was malnourished, underweight, and even had to get used to eating such small portions in order to survive. But it only gets worse. As his family was so poor, his parents were nearly homeless and couldn't even put a roof over their family's head. Though they were struggling, the Wayuu people valued family bonds more than anything. With nowhere else to turn, they moved in with their grandparents, uncle, and aunt, who lived in a house made with mud and wooden walls, which were only replaced by plaster and some concrete as Luis Diaz reached an older age. But as long as they had a roof over their heads, it was enough. However, Luis Diaz didn't stay much at home. He would spend most of his days on the streets of his hometown playing football, where he would quickly be known as the best kid around. His father and his uncle would support his aspirations to be a footballer, but his mother was hesitant with the idea, fearing he would spend too much time on the streets and stay away from his school books. She was also concerned that the small, skinny Diaz would get hurt by bigger players as well. And she definitely had the right to be concerned, looking at how skinny and malnourished Luis Diaz used to be. Nevertheless, he had the raw talent to become a professional footballer. And when he grew up, it was at this moment that Diaz, with the support of his family, took what little money they had and helped him travel halfway across the country in order to join an open trial for Atletico Jr. where he, the skinniest and most starved-looking kid, had to beat out over 400 applicants to secure the spot on a 23-man team. But Diaz was a special talent in the region and impressed the club enough to give him a chance. But it wasn't until when Colombia decided to make a team made up of indigenous players to represent the country in the first ever American Cup of Indigenous Peoples. It was at this limited opportunity tournament held for the very first time that Diaz really started to get attention. Many who saw him play for the country didn't think much because he was a small, extremely skinny kid. But once he touched the ball, they knew, clearly being the fastest, most skilled, and intelligent player on the squad, immediately securing his spot on the team. And in this indigenous squad, Colombian footballing legend and global hairstyle icon, Carlos Valderrama immediately saw his potential. Completely shocked that a player with his skill and ability was only being noticed by anyone important at already 18 years old. He had a lot of faith and belief in Diaz and promised him that he would help him start his journey to playing for a bigger club and becoming a world-class player whose name the world would soon know. Valderrama's recommendation got Diaz signed by his first professional club. Valderrama knew that Diaz had the skill and ability that many others looked past because of how malnourished and skinny he was. Finally, with the support of a professional club and a decent paycheck, he could start giving his body all the food and nutrients it lacked from years and years of starving and malnourished diets. Valderrama and Barranquilla FC gave him a goal of gaining at least 10 kilograms or 20 pounds in order to give him the perfect body to handle his football skill and speed. Diaz would slowly become a country sensation after videos of his stunning goals and incredible skills. Finally, Diaz was playing where he belonged, amongst the country's best footballing talents. For Colombia, Diaz would be coming off the bench and not get as much recognition until in 2018 when he finally was able to gain a good amount of weight and look faster, stronger, and much healthier. Almost unrecognizable from pictures of him just a few years ago. From malnourished, weighing 50 kilograms or 110 pounds to being 70 kilograms or 150 pounds of lean muscle turned Diaz into an athletic beast. He became even faster, his dribble more refined, and his shooting even stronger. He was finally able to hold his own against bigger defenders, slowly becoming the best footballer in Colombia and would begin to attract attention in Europe. FC Porto would sign Diaz from Atletico Juniors, where he was quickly making a name for himself in Europe as an explosive wing with great touch and footballing IQ. In his first season, he would be vital in helping Porto win the Premier League title and the Portuguese Cup with 14 goals and 6 assists in 50 appearances, which may not seem like much, but the way he helped his team was by advancing the ball and helping with the pace of the attack, which is without a doubt his best attribute, making him the perfect winger. Then the following season, Diaz would again be a central figure in helping Porto win the Portuguese Super Cup in 2020, where his ability to make runs was even better, seemingly becoming more of a faster and stronger player with the better facilities, training, and diet that Porto provided him. All of this helped him reach the peak of his physical abilities and helped him to train like he's never done before in Colombia, which led to finally in the 2021-22 season when he would break out as one of the best wingers in the world. During the 2021 Copa America tournament, Diaz, along with Lionel Messi, was awarded the tournament's Golden Boot for scoring 4 goals while leading his country of Colombia to a 3rd place finish. That made him one of his country's most famous and beloved players, and it would continue on to the club level where he would help Porto once more win the Primeira Liga and Portuguese Cup title while scoring 16 goals and having 5 assists in 28 appearances, having a .75 goal contributions a game. Diaz was finally becoming a world-known name, and Liverpool saw the potential in the 25-year-old and signed him on just halfway through the season, where he helped bolster their attack significantly and scored some crucial goals throughout the season, even becoming a regular starter and also being named the player of the match in the 2022 FA Cup final against Chelsea. Although he didn't win the Champions League, I believe that Diaz will continue becoming a household name in world football and become even better next season. He went from a starving and malnourished player who was discovered only at 18 years old to starting in the FA Cup and Champions League final with an incredibly bright future and a lot more potential in him. Not bad at all. In the locker room, he's loved by his teammates even though he can't really speak English. They still get along well and he's always a nice, fun, and positive vibe to be around. His personality and humble nature coming from where he did is a reality check to all his teammates and a great presence to be around for the squad. Imagine if Diaz didn't get the opportunity to meet Carlos Valderrama in the indigenous squad, and imagine all the others who had potential like him but weren't as lucky. And finally, imagine if we lost Luis Diaz at a younger age to malnutrition and starvation. So if you take anything away from his story, it's to never take anything for granted, especially clean water, good food, and a comfortable home. I'm looking forward to seeing more from Diaz in his career next season and for many more to come. But that's gonna do it for me today, guys. Leave a like if you enjoyed, as it really is the best way to support the channel and help out with the algorithm. Let me know what you think about Diaz and his story, or whatever video you want me to make next in the comment section below. And lastly, subscribe and turn on the notification bells for more weekly videos like this. Thank you all for the love and support, and I'll see you in the next one.